Jack was just another human technician working on the bustling alien trade station known as Valora Prime. The place was huge, noisy, and full of beings from 100 different worlds. Jack liked his work, keeping machines running, fixing broken tech, and staying out of trouble. He didn't talk much to the aliens. They looked strange, spoke stranger, and he didn't want to offend anyone by accident. But one day, everything changed when he ran into her. It happened in the central plaza, where stalls shawled shiny alien gadgets, glowing fruits, and things Jack didn't even have names for. He wasn't looking where he was going. His head was full of repair schedules and tool lists. Then, without warning, he bumped into someone. Not just anyone but her. She stood tall and elegant, with skin that shimmered like violet silk under the artificial lights. Her silver eyes glowed faintly, watching him with a strange calm. She had markings on her cheeks, soft patterns that seemed alive. She wore a sleek suit that looked like it was part of her body, yet moved like cloth. For a moment, Jack froze, his heart skipping a beat. He stepped back immediately, hands up. "I am sorry. I wasn't looking." He stammered. But the alien girl didn't reply at first. Instead, her silver eyes narrowed slightly, and a small, curious smile played on her lips. Jack felt cold sweat running down his back. He knew. Some aliens took offense easily. He couldn't afford trouble here, yet that's when things got worse. In his mind, despite his fear, another thought sneaked in. An inappropriate thought, a dirty one. About her beauty, her figure, and the way her eyes sparkled. Jack cursed himself silently, trying to push the thoughts away. But the more he panicked, the worse it got. And then she spoke. "Interesting," she said, her voice soft but clear. "Such bold thoughts, little human." Jack's eyes widened in horror. What? I didn't say anything." He protested. She chuckled, a light sound like wind chimes. "You didn't have to. I can hear what you think." Jack's face turned red. She was a telepath. He'd heard of such species, but he'd never met one. And now, of all the moments, his mind had betrayed him. He covered his face with both hands, utterly humiliated. "I'm sorry. I swear I didn't mean to think that. I can't control it sometimes." The alien girl tilted her head, still smiling. She wasn't angry. In fact, she looked amused. "Why do you apologize, human? Do you think I've never heard such thoughts before?" She teased. Jack peeked between his fingers. "Well, yeah. I mean, no. I don't know." He was making a fool of himself. She stepped closer, and Jack froze again. She was taller than him by a few inches, her eyes glowing brighter now. "You humans are so noisy inside your minds." "It's amusing," Jack gulped. "I swear I wasn't trying to be disrespectful." She smiled wider. "You weren't. That's what makes it fun." Jack blinked. "Fun?" She leaned slightly forward. "Yes, fun. You're the first human I've met who thinks so vividly." His embarrassment deepened. He wanted to crawl under the nearest rock. But then, curiosity poked through his shame. "Why aren't you angry?" he asked softly. Her silver eyes glimmered with mischief. "Because you're honest. Most species think such things but hide them with fake politeness. I prefer honesty." Jack didn't know what to say. His mind was a mess, trying not to think anything dirty again, but now that he knew she could hear him, it became harder. She chuckled again, clearly reading his struggle. "What's your name, human?" she asked. "Jack," he replied. "I am Solari," she said proudly. "And I think I will keep you entertained, Jack." His heart skipped another beat. "What does that mean?" Solari gave him a slow, knowing smirk. "It means you're interesting. And I want to see how long you can survive around me. Without thinking things you shouldn't." Jack's mouth went dry. "That's impossible." "Exactly," she whispered playfully. "But I like a challenge." Before Jack could respond, she turned and walked away, her movements graceful and smooth. Like a dancer. She glanced over her shoulder once, her smirk still there. "See you around, dirty-minded human." Jack stood frozen, watching her disappear into the crowd. His mind raced. What just happened? Why did she let him go? And why did that smirk make his heart beat so fast? Whatever the reason, Jack knew. One thing, he wasn't going to forget this encounter anytime soon. And deep down, a part of him didn't want to. Jack couldn't stop thinking about her Solari, the alien girl who read his mind like an open book. Days passed, but the memory of her silver eyes and teasing smirk kept replaying in his head. Every time he tried to work, her voice echoed in his mind, dirty-minded human. It was driving him crazy. He didn't know if he wanted to avoid her or find her again. Valora Prime was massive, with thousands of places she could vanish into. But fate wasn't done with Jack. One evening, while he was fixing a malfunctioning power terminal near the quieter side of the station, a shadow moved beside him. "You think about me too much, Jack," a familiar voice teased. Jack's heart jumped. He looked up quickly, and there she was, Solari, standing close, her violet skin glowing under the station lights. Her silver eyes twinkled, and her playful smirk returned. Jack scrambled to his feet, wiping his hands nervously. "Did you find me?" Solari stepped even closer. "I didn't need to search." "Your thoughts ... they call to me." Jack's face burned again. "I wasn't thinking anything bad, not this time," she chuckled. "Not bad, just ... detailed." Jack felt like the floor might open and swallow him. "You're messing with me," he muttered. "Of course I am," she said with a sly grin. "But I'm curious. I've read minds from many species, but humans? Your thoughts are the most ... colorful." Jack folded his arms. "Well, thanks, I guess." Solari's eyes glowed brighter. "I have a proposal for you, Jack." "A proposal?" he asked suspiciously. "Yes, a game." "Simple rules," she said, circling him slowly like a predator eyeing. "Pray, you'll spend time with me. In return, you must keep your mind clean, no dirty thoughts, no fantasies about me, nothing inappropriate. If you fail ... Jack swallowed hard. "What happens if I fail?" She stopped in front of him, her face inches from his. "Then I get to punish you." Jack's throat went dry. "What kind of punishment?" Solari's smile deepened. "That's for me to decide." Jack hesitated. He knew it was a trap. How could he spend time with her, knowing she could hear everything in his head? But curiosity, excitement, and fear tangled inside him. He finally nodded. "Fine, I'll play." She clapped her hands softly. "Good, we'll start now." "Now?" Jack panicked. "Yes, follow me, human," she said, turning on her heel. Jack followed, his mind already racing with panic. He tried thinking of boring things, tools, numbers, maintenance procedures. But it was impossible to ignore the sway of her hips, the elegant movement of her legs, the soft glow of her skin. Every time his mind slipped, she giggled softly without turning back, as if she knew exactly when he failed. She led him deep into the station's less crowded sectors, where neon lights flickered and strange alien scents filled the air. Eventually, they reached a small lounge area, lit dimly and occupied by a few shadowy figures. She sat gracefully on a cushioned seat, gesturing for Jack to sit across from her. "Let's test your mind, Jack. Sit." Jack sat, trying desperately to think of machinery, but the closeness, the scent of her, the mystery, it was too much. Solari tilted her head. "Oh dear. You've already failed," she whispered with amusement. Jack groaned. "I wasn't even trying to think that." She chuckled darkly. "That's the problem. Your mind speaks before your mouth." "Fine, punish me then, Jack." Sighed, half serious, half curious. "Oh, don't be so eager," she teased. "The punishment is not what you expect." She leaned forward, her voice low. Your punishment is curiosity. I'll show you something no human has ever seen. A place forbidden to your kind. Jack's eyes widened. Where? You'll see. But there's a catch, she added. You must trust me completely. No questions, no backing out. Jack hesitated, but his heart was racing. Okay. I trust you. Solari's smirk widened. Good. Then come with me, Jack. Let's see if your mind survives what's next. As they stood and walked deeper into the station's shadows, Jack couldn't help but think, was this really a punishment? Or had she just started a game far more dangerous than he realized? Jack followed Solari down a twisting hallway lit with flickering neon signs and strange symbols he couldn't read. The air grew warmer, thicker, almost humming with energy. Every step made Jack more anxious, but also more excited. He wasn't sure if he was heading into a trap or an adventure. She called this his punishment, yet her voice was playful, her steps light, as if she was enjoying his confusion. They stopped before a wall with no door, just smooth metal. Solari placed her hand against it, her fingers glowing faintly. And suddenly a hidden passage shimmered open. She glanced back at Jack with that same teasing smirk. Last chance to run away. Human, she whispered. Jack crossed his arms. I've come this far. Solari laughed softly. Brave or foolish, either way I like it. She stepped through, and Jack followed, entering a tunnel bathed in soft purple light. It curved sharply until they emerged into an open chamber. Unlike anything Jack had seen. The ceiling sparkled like a night sky, with floating orbs casting gentle light. The walls were carved with swirling patterns that seemed to pulse faintly. But what caught Jack's attention wasn't the architecture, was the market. Dozens of aliens mingled in this hidden space, all from species Jack had never seen before. Stalls lined the sides, selling bizarre items, fruits that hovered in the air, crystals that hummed when touched, vials of glowing liquid, and strange devices that looked alive. Jack stared in awe. What is this place? Solari stood beside him, her eyes proud. This is the Grey Bazaar, hidden deep within the station. Forbidden to humans, Jack blinked. But why bring me here? Aren't humans banned? Solari smiled. They are, but you're with me. No one will question it. Jack's mind spun. This is my punishment? A secret market? Solari's silver eyes glimmered. The punishment is knowledge, Jack. Now you've seen what humans aren't allowed to. You'll never look at this station the same way again. And there's no one seeing it. Jack chuckled nervously. If this is punishment, I'll take more of it. She laughed. Careful, human. I may just oblige. They walked further in, passing stalls filled with artifacts, jewelry, and floating spheres that whispered secrets when touched. Jack felt eyes on him, some curious, some cold, but no one challenged him. Solari walked confidently, and her presence seemed to protect him. Eventually, they stopped at a stall manned by a tiny, hunched alien with 4 eyes and skin like cracked stone. The stall was filled with thin circlets made of metal and crystal. Solari picked one up. These are mind shields, Jack. Devices that help block telepaths like me from reading thoughts. Jack's eyes widened. You have those? Then why doesn't everyone wear them? Because most beings here have nothing to hide, she said, smirking. Or they believe their minds are too disciplined already. She turned to him. Would you like to try one? Jack hesitated. If I wear it, you won't hear my thoughts anymore? Solari's smile faded just a little. Correct. Jack considered it, then shook his head. No, I think I'll keep my thoughts exposed. Her silver eyes gleamed. Interesting choice. Because honestly, Jack said, if you didn't hear me, I wouldn't know when I've said something stupid. And somehow I don't mind you knowing. Solari studied him quietly for a moment. Then she chuckled. You're an unusual human. Jack shrugged. That's what I keep hearing. She led him away from the stall, deeper into the bazaar. Do you know why I brought you here, really? She asked. I'm guessing it's not just to punish me. She nodded. No, I brought you here because I wanted to see what you'd do. Most humans would panic, beg to go back or faint. Jack smiled. But I'm still here. Yes, she said softly. And that makes you even more dangerous to me. Jack stopped walking. Dangerous? How? Solari turned to face him, her expression unreadable. Because, Jack, curiosity is a dangerous thing. It leads to places like this. It leads to connections that should not exist. And you are too curious for your own good. Jack smiled faintly. And yet you still brought me. Solari's smirk returned. Maybe I like dangerous things, Jack chuckled. Then I guess I'm in trouble. She stepped close. Her voice barely a whisper. You already were the moment you thought about me the way you did, Jack. Jack's heart thumped, but he didn't look away. This wasn't just a punishment. It was a beginning. And deep down, both of them knew it. Jack's mind was spinning. He stood in the middle of the gray bazaar, a secret place no human was supposed to know existed. Strange sounds and soft alien music echoed around him, scents of exotic spices and flowers filled the air. Yet the real distraction wasn't the wonders around him, it was Solari. She moved ahead of him gracefully, her violet skin shimmering under the lights, her silver eyes watching everything with calm amusement. She led him through winding paths deeper into the bazaar. Jack's curiosity burned brighter with every step. Where are we going now? Jack asked, catching up beside her. To meet someone who can show you more than just sights, Solari answered cryptically. But first, answer me something. Jack looked at her, puzzled. What? She stopped and turned to him, her expression suddenly serious. Why didn't you wear the mind shield? Jack paused. It was a good question. He had the chance to hide his thoughts from her, to gain privacy in a world where she could hear every idea, every slip, but he hadn't. I guess. Because I wanted to see if I could handle it, Jack admitted. Handle you. Solari's lips curled into a small smile. Bold or stupid, Jack said, chuckling nervously. Maybe both, she replied. But I respect that. She gestured to a nearby stall, where an old alien sat behind a table full of crystal orbs and tiny devices that glowed softly. The alien was hunched, its face hidden under layers of cloth. This is Yaran, Solari said. They teach mental discipline to those with chaotic minds. Jack raised an eyebrow. Are you saying my mind is chaotic? Solari smirked. You think that's not obvious to me? Yaren's voice rasped like wind through dry leaves. Human. Curious. Scattered thoughts. Perfect student. Jack chuckled awkwardly. I didn't sign up for school. You didn't have. Teo, Solari whispered. Consider this your next challenge. If you want to survive around me without constant embarrassment, you'll need control. Jack scratched his head. All right, I'll try it. But no promises. The alien handed Jack a small crystal orb. Focus. Clear the mind. No words. No pictures. Just silence. Jack sat cross-legged on the ground, holding the orb. Solari watched closely, arms folded, her eyes fixed on him. He closed his eyes and tried to empty his mind, but it was impossible. Every time he found stillness, an image of Solari's smirk flashed in his thoughts, or the memory of her scent, or the sway of her hips. He groaned in frustration. I can't, he muttered. It's like, the more I try, the worse it gets. Solari chuckled softly. That's because you're trying too hard, Jack. Humans force their minds quiet, but thoughts are like rivers. If you dam them up, they just overflow. Yarn hummed in agreement. Let the thoughts flow. Do not chase them. Observe. And release. Jack took a deep breath and tried again. This time, instead of fighting the images, he watched them pass, like watching clouds drift by. Solari's face, her teasing gaze, his embarrassment, it all floated by. Minutes passed and Jack's breathing slowed. For a brief moment, his mind cleared. He opened his eyes, and the crystal orb glowed faintly in his hands. Yaron rasped, "Good." For a first time, Jack smiled faintly. "Not bad for a human, huh?" Solari looked impressed, though she tried to hide it. "Not bad at all." Jack stood up, brushing off his pants. "So what now? Did I pass your test?" Solari stepped close, her silver eyes locking on his. "Not yet." "But you're learning." Jack grinned. "And what about you? Do you have any tests?" She raised an eyebrow. "Me? I've mastered my mind long ago." "Maybe, but I think you're curious about me too," Jack said boldly. Solari blinked, caught off guard. For the first time, her smirk faded into a thoughtful look. "Perhaps," she admitted. "You are unpredictable." Jack chuckled. "And that bothers you, doesn't it?" "A little," she whispered. "Because I'm not sure what to do with you," Jack smiled. "Then maybe we're both each other's challenge." Solari's gaze softened. "Maybe so." They left Yaron's stall, walking side by side. The Grey Bazaar's wonders continued around them, but now the air between them felt different, closer, warmer. Neither spoke for a while, but they didn't need to. Jack knew one thing. This wasn't just a game anymore. Something deeper was happening. And from the way Solari glanced at him, her eyes less guarded now, he wasn't the only one feeling it. Days passed, but the memory of the Grey Bazaar refused to leave Jack's mind. Every night, when he closed his eyes, he saw the glittering market, the alien wonders, and most of all Solari. She had crept into his thoughts like a shadow he couldn't escape. And somehow he didn't want to. On the 5th day, she appeared again. Jack was repairing a power conduit in a quiet sector when a familiar, soft voice floated behind him. "You think of me often, human." Jack turned, and there she was, Solari, her violet skin shimmering under the dim station lights. Her silver eyes locked onto his with an intensity that made his heart pound. "I guess I do," Jack admitted, smiling shyly. "And I bet you already know what I think, don't you?" She stepped closer, her steps smooth and silent. "I know you wonder why I keep coming back, why I don't just disappear like before." Jack swallowed hard. "Yeah, why do you?" Solari tilted her head, studying him. "Because I don't understand you, Jack. I can read your thoughts, but they surprise me. Most beings think predictable things, fear, greed, hunger. But you, one moment you're curious, the next you're ashamed. Then, you're intrigued." "Again," Jack chuckled. "Welcome to the human experience." She smiled faintly. "Perhaps, but I want to understand it better. So I have another offer." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Another game?" "Something like that," she said. "You've tried shielding your mind through meditation. But now I want to teach you control through contact." "Contact?" Jack asked, confused. She nodded. "Physical connection enhances mental discipline. But it also makes it harder to hide your thoughts. If you can manage to control your mind while on close, you win. If not, Jack smirked. "Another punishment?" Solari's grin returned. "Exactly." She stepped right up to him, barely an inch away. Jack's breath caught as he looked into her glowing eyes. She reached out and gently touched his wrist, her fingers cool and soft. "Close your eyes, Jack," she whispered. "Breathe. Focus." Jack closed his eyes, trying to steady his breathing. But with her touching him, it was impossible to clear his mind. Images of her flooded his thoughts, her face, her voice, the way she looked at him with that playful smirk. "You're failing already," she teased softly. Jack laughed nervously. "You make it impossible to focus." "Good. That means the lesson is working," she said, her voice almost a purr. They stood like that for minutes, her hand on his wrist, his mind fighting itself. Every time he thought he had control, Her thumb would gently trace his skin, sending sparks through his body and crashing his concentration. Eventually, he sighed. "I can't. Not like this," Solari smiled. "You did better than I expected." She didn't let go. Instead, she stepped even closer, their bodies almost touching. "You're not used to someone inside your mind, Jack," she said quietly. "But I'm not just reading your surface thoughts. I'm starting to see deeper things." Jack opened his eyes slowly. "Like what?" Solari's expression softened. "You're lonely." Jack's heart clenched. He didn't expect that. "Guess." "Yeah," he admitted. "Living among aliens, keeping to myself, it gets quiet sometimes." Solari nodded. "I can feel it in your mind, that emptiness. You fill it with thoughts of me." Jack laughed lightly. "Yeah, I suppose I do." They stood in silence for a while, neither moving away. Jack could feel the warmth of her presence, the strange comfort of being close to someone who knew him without needing words. Finally, she whispered, "You asked why I keep coming back. It's because I feel your loneliness, and it mirrors my own." Jack looked at her in surprise. "You? But you're surrounded by your kind here." She shook her head. "I may be surrounded, but I'm different. My telepathy isolates me. Everyone hides their minds, shields their thoughts. But you let me in." Jack smiled softly. "Maybe that's why we keep meeting." Solari looked at him, her smirk gentler now, perhaps. "Or perhaps it's because I'm curious what else your mind hides." Jack chuckled. "That's dangerous territory." Solari stepped back, finally releasing his wrist. "I like danger." As she turned to leave, she paused. "I'll come find you again, Jack, and next time. Let's see if you can keep just one thought clean around me." Jack laughed. "No promises," she smiled over her shoulder. "I wouldn't want it any other way." As she disappeared into the station corridors, Jack stood there, his heart lighter than it had been in months. He wasn't sure what was between them, but whatever it was only growing stronger. Jack waited for days, but Solari didn't show. He worked, slept, and even tried meditating like Uran taught, but his mind was restless. The station felt emptier without her playful voice in his head, her teasing smirk, her piercing silver eyes. He tried convincing himself that she was done with him, that she got bored, but deep down, he knew better. She was testing him. Then one quiet evening, when the station lights dimmed to mimic night, she appeared again like a shadow slipping through the air. She stood silently behind him as he worked, watching, until Jack finally spoke without looking back. "Took you long enough." Her soft laugh sent a familiar shiver down his spine. "I was curious how long it would take before you sensed me." Without me saying a word, Jack finally turned, grinning. "I've been practicing, clearly." She stepped closer, eyes glowing faintly. "So let's test that, shall we?" Jack raised an eyebrow. "Another game?" Solari shook her head. "No game this time, a challenge. If you can keep your mind blank while I touch you, I'll give you something you want." Jack chuckled. "And if I fail?" She smiled knowingly. "Then you'll give me what I want." Jack's heartbeat quickened. "Deal." Without another word, she reached up and gently placed both hands on the sides of his head, her cool palms resting against his temples. The sensation was immediate. Her presence wasn't just physical now. He could feel her in his mind, like a warm current swirling through his thoughts. "Relax," she whispered. "Don't think. Just be." Jack focused on his breathing. Out in. But then images of her flooded his mind. The touch of her hands, the curve of her smile, the softness of her voice. He fought them back, but she was inside his mind now, tracing every thought like pages in a book. "You're thinking about me," she teased gently in his head. "Hard not to," Jack muttered, eyes closed tight. "Try harder." Jack inhaled. Deeply, he pictured stillness. A blank room, silence, Slowly the images faded, his mind clearing. For the first time, he felt a kind of mental barrier form, like a shield not perfect, but steady. Solari paused, surprised. Interesting, you're actually doing it. Jack's breathing was steady now. Told you I've been practicing. Solari's fingers tightened slightly, not enough to hurt, but enough to remind him she was still there. Don't get cocky, human. I can still break through. She pushed deeper, her telepathic presence pressing against his mental barrier. Jack gritted his teeth, holding the image of the blank room in his mind. His shield wavered but held. Then she did something he didn't expect. She whispered in his ear, her lips brushing his skin, her voice a soft breath. Do you want me, Jack? The barrier almost shattered. Images, feelings, desires, everything surged forward like a flood. But Jack fought it, focusing harder, refusing to let her in completely. Moments passed in tense silence. Then, finally, Solari stepped back, her hands falling to her sides. She looked at him, her silver eyes wide with admiration. You did it, she said softly. You kept me out. Jack opened his eyes, his body trembling slightly, but he smiled. Guess I'm not just a dirty-minded human anymore. Solari laughed, genuinely this time, a sound so rare and light that Jack couldn't help but smile. Wider, you're stronger than I thought, she admitted, and I like that. Jack's breathing slowly returned to normal. So do I get my reward? She stepped close, her face inches from his, her gaze searching his. What do you want, Jack? He hesitated, then said quietly, the truth. Why are you really spending time with me? This isn't just curiosity anymore. Solari's smile softened. She looked away briefly, as if unsure how to say it. Then she met his eyes again, because I've never met anyone who fights back when I enter their mind, she said honestly. They either submit or run away, but you you resist, you challenge me. And more than that Your thoughts make me feel desired in ways my people don't express. Jack blinked. You like that I think about you that way? She chuckled. I do, because it's honest, it's raw, and it makes me feel alive. Jack looked at her, seeing not just the teasing telepath, but someone lonelier than he realized. She wasn't just playing with him, she was trying to feel something real. Then you should know, Jack said softly, that even if you couldn't read my mind, I'd still want to know you. For a moment, Solari said nothing. Then she smiled a real warm smile, not the playful smirk. Then perhaps. It's time I let you into my mind, she whispered. Jack's heart skipped. You'd do that? She nodded. Next time. If you're ready. As she turned to leave, she glanced over her shoulder. Next time, Jack, be prepared. Jack watched her go, his mind clearer, his heart heavier with anticipation. For the first time, the barrier between them was breaking, not just in the mind, but in something deeper. Jack waited for her. He didn't know how long it would be before Solari returned, but his thoughts were sharper now, steadier. Days passed, and still no sign of her. But every time he closed his eyes, he remembered her promise. Next time, Jack, be prepared. He was prepared. At least he told himself that. Then one evening, as Jack was repairing a damaged terminal alone in the quiet sector of the station, a soft pulse echoed in his mind, not words, not sound, but a feeling, a familiar presence. He turned, and there she was. Solari stood watching him, her silver eyes shining gently in the dim light, but this time she wasn't smirking. She looked calm, almost hesitant. You're ready, she said softly, as if it was a fact. Jack smiled. I think so. She approached, slow and steady, her violet skin seeming to glow faintly under the flickering lights. She stopped, just a foot away from him. I promised to let you in, didn't I? Jack's heart thumped. You did. Then hold still, she whispered. She reached out, her hands cradling both sides of his face, and Jack felt it, a warmth, a pulse, like a heartbeat, but inside his mind. The connection wasn't like before. It wasn't invasive. It was an invitation. Her presence opened like a door, and Jack stepped through without moving an inch. In an instant, he was somewhere else, not the station, not space, but a landscape of memory and emotion. He saw flashes of Solari's life, moments of cold, of being surrounded by her own people, yet feeling utterly alone. Her telepathy was both gift and curse. She could hear everything but connect to no one. Everyone guarded their minds, shielded themselves, avoided vulnerability. She was lonely, deeply lonely. Then he saw something else, a flash of himself. The first time she read his mind, his awkward apologies, his dirty thoughts, his embarrassment. But beneath it all, she saw honesty, unfiltered desire, and a mind not hiding from her. Jack gasped as the connection deepened. He felt her emotions, curiosity, amusement, but also longing. Longing to feel desired, not because of power or curiosity, but because someone truly wanted her. When Jack opened his eyes, Solari was staring at him, eyes wide and uncertain. "You saw?" she whispered. Jack nodded. Slowly, "Yeah, I saw." She tried to step back, her hands slipping from his face, but Jack caught them gently. "You don't have to hide that from me. I've never shared that with anyone," she admitted, her voice low. "You're the first." Jack smiled. "I'm honored." Solari searched his face for mockery or pity, but she found none. Slowly, the corners of her mouth curved upward, not the teasing smirk, but a soft, genuine smile. "I was afraid," she admitted. "Afraid that if you saw inside me, you'd think I was weak." Jack shook his head. "No, I think you're stronger than anyone here. You let me see the truth." For the first time, Solari seemed unsure of what to say. She stepped closer again, so close that Jack could feel the warmth of her skin. "You humans are strange," she said. "You think such dirty, wild things. And yet your hearts are tender." Jack chuckled. "We're complicated." Solari smiled faintly. "That's why I smirked that first day, you know." Jack blinked. "What do you mean?" She tilted her head. "You thought I was mocking you, or playing. But the truth is, when I read your thoughts, when I heard that desire, that raw honesty, it made me feel something I hadn't felt in years." "What's that?" Jack asked. "Wanted," she whispered. Jack stared at her, his heart beating harder. "I still do." Solari's eyes softened, her usual mischief gone, replaced with something warmer. She reached up and traced a finger along his jaw. "Careful, Jack, I might start wanting you back." Jack grinned. "That's a risk I'm willing to take." They stood close, the unspoken connection between them stronger than words. For once, Solari wasn't reading his mind. She didn't have to. She saw everything she needed in his eyes. After a long pause, Solari chuckled. "So no more smirks?" She smiled slyly. "Oh no, Jack, the smirk stays, but now you'll know what it really means." Jack laughed. "Good, I'd hate to lose that." She turned to leave, but paused, looking back over her shoulder, her silver eyes shining brighter than ever. "I'll see you soon, human, and next time, maybe you should teach me something." Jack smiled, watching her disappear into the shadows. He knew she wasn't just teasing. This was the beginning of something real, something deeper than a game or a challenge. And the next time she smirked, he'd know it wasn't just playfulness. It was a promise.